Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome again to another special edition of Fresh Friday. On this Fresh Friday morning, we give God praise and glory for this is the day that the Lord has made, and certainly I have chosen to rejoice and be glad in it. Look, it's mighty early in the morning. I trust today that you have chosen to rejoice and to be glad in it as well. To all of my precious members, to all of my supporters, partners, and friends, thank you so much for connecting with us on this morning. You know, I want to talk about something today that I believe that all of us need. We need it. We need to experience transformative power. We need that in our lives. We need to experience, I want to say it again, transformative power. That simply means that there is a power that comes from no one but God, who has the ability to change our situation, but not only to change our situation, but to change us. Look, I'm reminded of this great passage, y'all, that's found in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, uh, verse 9. I want to read that A part of that verse. And it says, "And he had said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness." Wow, what a powerful word. Of course, this passage deals with, Paul's thorn in the flesh. The context is built around the fact that Paul prayed 3 times, and the Lord responds by telling Paul that his grace is sufficient for him. It is not what Paul prayed for, because Paul prayed asking and begging and pleading the Lord to remove the thorn from his flesh. But the Lord responds and tells Paul, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Can we unpack this? I want to show you in this text how to experience transformative power. The first thing that we need to do, we need to consider that we all have human limitations. That's right. Paul recognized this, and I love this about Paul. Paul recognized his human limitations. The thorn was a constant reminder of Paul's limitations. And can I say this today, that everyone has a thorn? Look, many scholars really don't know what the thorn was, but they knew that it was something physical that agitated Paul constantly. And let me tell you, we all have thorns. Our thorns could be shortcomings, failures, our imperfections, our inadequacies. Listen, we've all been there. We've all had them. And look, everyone is dealing with something even right now. So we must consider human limitations, but secondly, we must consider God's grace. God's grace. This word grace, I love the word grace. It's an awesome word. Grace, kara. in the Greek, or God's favor, same word, kara in the Greek. The Lord responds, and we must understand that God's grace is enough for us. It really is. God's grace is not just a little sprinkle, y'all. It's a whole jar filled to overflowing. I'm talking about grace, his grace, his kara. Third thing we must consider is humility exercised. We must understand that humility must be exercised. I love this about Paul. Now, how does that look? When humility is exercised, you and I are relying solely on God. It is to rely solely on God. Notice what he says, my power is made perfect in weakness. What this means is that God's strength shines brightest when we are weakest. I won't say that again. It deserves a repeat. That God's strength shines brightest when we are weakest. Look at it like this. It's our opportunity to showcase God's strength and grace in our lives. I like that. He says this power, my power, this dunamis power is made, here it is, perfect. This word perfect is derived from the Greek connotation teleos, meaning completed or fulfilled. It doesn't mean without imperfections, for we all know that we are imperfect beings, but perfect here is being tailored to teach us that God is processing us, that we are fulfilled or completed. Fourth thing is this: to experience transformative power. You must and I must begin to celebrate our struggles. Wow. Celebrate our struggles. Know what the text says. Most gladly, therefore, I would rather boast about my weaknesses, that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Wow. Celebrate my struggles. That's what Paul did. How do you do that? We celebrate our struggles, first of all, by embracing our weaknesses. Wow. We must embrace our weaknesses. If we study the text clearly, that's what Paul did. Paul was embracing his weaknesses. The second way that he celebrated his struggle, he began to display his weaknesses. We must put our weaknesses on display. I'm talking about going public with our weaknesses, allowing the world to see our weaknesses, allowing community to see our weaknesses. You see, while our culture often promotes self-reliance, emphasizing the need to always appear to be strong, and incompetent, and we got to be all macho and everything. Paul was teaching us that true strength lies in recognizing our need for his grace and his power. And really, at the end of the day, it's okay to lean on God. It's okay to lean on Him. It's okay to lean on Him. In fact, the older I get, the more mature I become. I want to lean more on God. Now, the stage is set to experience transformative power. How do He do that? We must seek His power by allowing weaknesses to collide with His power. In other words, that needs to be a spiritual collision. A spiritual collision where our weaknesses collide with the very power of God. And then He says that this power may dwell in me. I like that. I like that. This word dwell, it means to pitch a tent upon, and then to dwell in or upon. Another rendering says to tabernacle over me, that the power of Christ may tabernacle over me. Lord have mercy. That's how we experience transformative power. God has the ability to change all of our situations, but also He has the ability to change you and I. When God transforms, He does not only transform your situations and your surroundings, but He also changes you. Father, I pray this morning, and I ask You so kindly, Lord, that You would allow the people of God to experience Your transformative power. Lord, You said in Your word, and we receive it today, that Your power is made perfect in our weakness. Help us to see it the way You see it, God, and not the world. And we receive it now. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. Look, I'm grateful. I'm thankful for the day. I trust that this word, this message, will bless you on the day, and that will propel you into this weekend. Have a great weekend. Enjoy our awesome God and your family and your friends. Look, I'm praying blessings upon you. I'm your host, Dr. K.L. Ganther, the senior pastor of the Disciples of Faith Baptist Church right here in the wonderful and beautiful city of Houston, Texas, where the millennials affectionately call me the Puma Pastor. Look, we are walking by faith and not by sight. Bless you.